Good day, my name is Cherilyn M. Otos, and for today's report, I am going to be reporting about photosynthesis. So, what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is the process used by plants, algae, and certain bacteria to harness energy from sunlight and turn into chemical energy. So, photosynthesis is the process by which plants use sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to create oxygen and energy in the form of sugar. So there are two types of photosynthetic processes, which is oxygenic photosynthesis and anoxygenic photosynthesis. The general principle of anoxygenic photosynthesis and oxygenic photosynthesis are very similar, but oxygenic photosynthesis is the most common and is seen in plants, algae, and cyanobacteria. Let us tackle a little bit deeper about oxygenic photosynthesis, which is the common one. So this picture shows oxygenic photosynthesis. During oxygenic photosynthesis, light energy transfer electron from water or H2O to carbon dioxide CO2 to produce carbohydrates. In this transfer, the CO2 is reduced or receives electrons and the water becomes oxidized or loses electrons. And oxygen actually produced along with carbohydrates. So, oxygenic photosynthesis, it functions as a counterbalance to respiration by taking in the carbon dioxide produced by all breathing organisms and reintroducing oxygen to the atmosphere. So, on the other hand, anoxygenic photosynthesis uses electron donors other than water. So the process typically occurs in such as purple bacteria and green sulfur bacteria, which are primarily found in various aquatic habitats. So anoxygenic photosynthesis does not produce oxygen, hence the name. What is produced depends on the electron donor. So that is according to David Baum, a professor of botany at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. An example of this is many bacteria use the bad egg-smelling gas hydrogen sulfide, producing solid sulfur as a byproduct. Though both types of photosynthesis are complex, multi-step affairs, the overall process can be neatly summarized as a chemical equation. So, oxygenic photosynthesis is written as follows. So, there are 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, CO2, combined with 12 molecules of water, or H2O, using light energy. The end result is the formation of the single carbohydrate molecule, or C6H12O6, or glucose, along with 6 molecules each of breathable oxygen and water. So, anoxygenic photosynthesis, the various anoxygenic photosynthesis reaction can be represented as a single generalized formula. So, CO2 plus 2H2A plus light energy, the end result is CH2O plus 2A plus H2O. So, the letter A in the equation is a variable and H2A represents the potential electron donor. For example, A may represent sulfur and the electron donor hydrogen sulfide, or H2S. So, the following are cellular components that are essential to photosynthesis. So the first one is pigments. It is the molecule that bestow color on the plants, algae, and bacteria, but they are also responsible for effectively trapping sunlight. So pigments of different colors absorbs different wavelength of light. There are actually three main groups of it. So the three main groups of pigments is the first one is the chlorophyll, two carotenoids, and three the phycobilins. So the first one is chlorophyll. So these green colored pigments are capable of trapping blue and red light. So they have three subtypes dubbed as chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, and chlorophyll C. So the chlorophyll is also known as green light, harvest light for the photosynthesis. So chlorophyll A is found in all photosynthesizing plants. So there is also a bacterial variant applied named bacteriochlorophyll, an example of here in the picture, which absorbs infrared light. This pigment is mainly seen in the purple and green bacteria which perform an oxygenic photosynthesis. So this pigment is mainly seen in purple and green bacteria which performs an oxygenic photosynthesis. So the next one is the carotenoids. So these red, orange, or glue-colored pigments absorb bluish green light. So the examples of carotenoid are xanthophyll or yellow and carotene orange, from which the carrot get their color. So phycobilins, so these red or blue pigments absorbs wavelengths of light that are not as well absorbed. So they're actually seen in cyanobacteria and red algae like in the picture below. So the next one is the plastids. So plastids that control chlorophyll can carry out photosynthesis and are called chloroplast. It stores products like starch and can synthesize fatty acid and terpenes, which can be used for producing energy and as a raw material for the synthesis of other molecules. So photosynthesis eukaryotic organisms contains organelle called plastids in their cytoplasm. So the double membrane plastids in their plants and algae are referred to as primary plastids, while the multiple membrane variety found in plankton are called secondary plastids. So they generally contain pigments or can store nutrients. So it is colorless and non-pigment leucoplast store fats and starch, while chromoplast contains carotenoids and chloroplast contains chlorophyll. Photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplast, specifically in the grana and the stroma regions. The grana is the inner portion of the organelle, a collection of disc-shaped membranes stacked into column-like plates. The individual discs are called thylakoids. It is here the transfer of electron takes place. So the empty spaces between the columns of the grana constitute the stroma. So chloroplasts are similar to mitochondria. The energy is centers of cell in that they have their own genome or collection of genes contained with circular DNA. So these genes encode proteins essential to the organelles and to photosynthesis. Like mitochondria, chloroplasts are also thought to have originated from primitive bacterial cell through the process of endosymbiosis. Endosymbiosis is a symbiotic relationship where one organism lives inside the other. So antennae. Antennae is the light harvesting complex and it is an array of protein and chlorophyll molecules embedded in the thylakoid membrane of plants and cyanobacteria, which transfer light energy to one chlorophyll, a molecule at the reaction center of the photosynthesis system. So, this is the antenna complexes. So, a pigment with the primary function of capturing the energy from photons and transferring that energy to put two other pigments with the photosystem. So most chlorophyll molecules function as antennae or antenna with relatively few of the hundred of chlorophyll molecules carrying out photochemistry in the reaction center. So, speaking of reaction center, it is the pigments and proteins which convert light energy to chemical energy and begin the process of electron transfer, and that is known as reaction center. So reaction center contains pigments such as chlorophyll and phaeophytin. This absorbs light and promoting an electron to a higher energy level within the pigment. The free energy created is used to reduce an electron acceptor and is critical for the production of chemical energy during photosynthesis. So photosynthesis process. So both types of reaction takes place in the chloroplast, light dependent in the thylakoid, and light independent reaction in the stroma. So the reaction of plants photosynthesis are divided into those that require the presence of sunlight and those that do not. So light independent reaction in a photosynthesis requiring light energy. It may not be non-silic or silic. It is when a photon of light hits the reaction center, a pigment molecule such as chlorophyll releases electron. So, this released electron manages to escape by traveling through an electron transport chain. So, it generates the energy needed to produce ATP or adenosine triphosphate, a source of chemical energy for cells, and NADPH. So the electron hole in the original chlorophyll pigment is filled by taking an electron from water. As a result, oxygen is released into the atmosphere. So the next one is the light-independent reaction. There are three chemical reaction steps make up the Calvin cycle. So it is also called dark reaction and known as Calvin cycle. Light reaction produce ATP and NADPH, which are the rich energy sources that drives dark reaction. So it has carbonfixation, reduction, and regeneration. So this reaction use water and catalyst. The carbon atoms from carbon dioxide are fixed when they are built into organic molecules that ultimately form 3 carbon sugars. So these sugars are then used to make glucose or are recycled to initiate the Calvin cycle again. So that is my report for today. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.